Here we go, number 6, interview number 6. We're here in Stockton, beautiful day on Silver Street, right?
Silver Street, yeah.
Yeah, the one with the roadworks going on right now, but not for much longer. And I'm here with someone really interesting and pretty new to me. I think we got in touch on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I interviewed someone yesterday with kind of the same issue. I don't know you as well as some of the people I've already interviewed, so digging's going to be a little bit harder, but we'll try and get through it in 30 minutes if we can. Take it away, introduce yourself and your business.
I'm BRYAN HOLMES. I'm the Managing Director of iSTATION. We're an Apple device repair business. We work with retail customers on standard sort of iPhones and iPads and MacBooks. We work with businesses on network servers, desktops, all Apple kit. That's what we specialise in. We're linked to Apple Consultant Network, which is a business certification with Apple. So we are monitored by Apple. We have to have certain certifications, we have to have certain insurances, and they refer work to us for business-to-business customers and education. Been in business 4.5 years now. The location that we're in on Silver Street, we've only been here about 17 months. So this is a bit of a change for us, having a retail location rather than an office.
It's kind of what I was going to ask. What brought you to the retail location? What's the thinking behind that?
It was to try and encourage a few more sort of retail customers. Where we were previously, we didn't have our own front door. It was kind of just a reception area. So we were looking out for a way to get more footfall and get us noticed more. Bring retail customers in, hopefully that brings retail customers that have got a business. It might be a small business, it might be a large business, and that might get us a foot in the door with more B2B. So that was the reason really. We had a look around different towns. The office that we were based in was in Stockton, and we really wanted to keep it in Stockton. You know, the council are doing a lot to bring the town up, and putting a lot of effort into things to do and revamp the place. So, you know, we searched for somewhere within Stockton.
I think that's important. Middlesbrough seems quite competitive for this kind of thing. You've got everything from, you know, the kind of premium Apple resellers to the guys who will repair anything. Even the stands in the Cleveland Centre you can walk past them. You know, I think there's a few kicking about in Stockton as well.
There is, yeah.
But it doesn't seem as competitive for what you do for that retail walk-in customer here than it would be in, say, Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Equally, I'm just trying to think of the other towns. It's probably not feasible in Thornaby because the footfall's different. It's not feasible in Billingham because the footfall's different and it's older. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, we did look at Billingham, as I said to you before. Billingham's where I was born, grew up.
Best town in the world.
You know, you want to try and do something in your own town, but there just wasn't the place to go there.
The footfall's not good enough. I think the age profile's much older. There's not so much of a draw. Before we get into asking the questions about you and the kind of things that we ask, almost from my own point of view, but maybe a bit of a kind of forecasting thing for anyone that's watching. Obviously, retail's got its difficulties. You've just had Toys R Us go bust, which I firmly believe is because now, if you're not providing a really cool experience in the retail store, there's no reason why you wouldn't buy it online.
That's right.
So, Teesside Park, Toys R Us should have been the Lego capital of Toys R Us's empire, and people would have driven to it like they drive to Legoland or whatever. With that said, 2 questions. The first one's about your business. What are you doing about that experience and making it interesting when people come in here? But more importantly, what do you think is going to go on with the towns? And the reason I'm asking that is because it seems like there's a lot of money spent on kind of semi-infrastructure projects like this one that's going on outside. They're putting up, you know, new roads and that kind of thing. Billingham, they've kind of cleaned it all up and done the shop fronts and that kind of thing. But does there need to be a draw to a town? I remember when I was a kid, we used to come to Stockton because you could spend the day. You can't really spend the day now. You just come, get what you need and leave, and that's why Teesside Park's taken over. What's going to change there?
I think a lot of the independents are what are going to draw people in because they're going to have something slightly different than your main chain retail
I agree.
stores. The difficult thing for the independents is kind of being able to afford the rents of the bigger units in the stores in the town, and that's why there's so many units in this town.
Yeah.
In the larger footfall areas that are empty.
Because they want the money for it.
Some of the bigger retailers are moving out because they can't afford those rents.
Yeah. So how do they expect the small businesses?
Exactly. So there needs to be a bit of a change there in terms of the landlords. If it's not a council shop, if it's a private landlord, I think they need to give businesses a chance. If somebody comes to them with a new business and says, we'll give you 6 months rent free, if you make a go of it, then we'll work out some sort of...
Yeah, then we won't need to pay, but otherwise...
And that's I think that's the only way to get more interesting retailers back into the high streets, regardless of where it is.
Right.
Stockton, Middlesbrough, Hartlepool, wherever it is.
So do you think the issue with that then is that the demand and supply hasn't sorted itself out yet? As much as the landlord doesn't want the unit empty, every now and again someone comes up and opens a business, and whether that business succeeds or fails, in 6 months or a year, maybe they're gone out of that premises and that keeps them going. Maybe there needs to be, and I'm not trying to talk down landlords, but maybe there just needs to be a kind of 2-year, 3-year stop on that kind of thing. That changes the demand and supply, and then they might say, okay, 6 months rent free for everybody.
Yeah.
Is it going to happen? I don't know. I think that's asking a lot.
You'd like to hope that the councils would be able to put some pressure on these people, but the likelihood of it is no.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
Wellington Square over here now, there must be 10, 12 units available. All big, nice units with a lot of people walking past. They all come from the car park.
Yeah,
but
the car park's the prime spot.
You're looking at, 40, 50,000 pound plus VAT.
Is that what it
a
is?
year for some of these units. We looked at them when we were looking for this one. Yeah, you come down a street like this, where it is 99% independent businesses. It's got a private landlord.
Yeah.
There's no VAT on the rent because of the way the landlord set it up.
Right.
The rent is quite small in comparison to some of the bigger shops.
Yeah.
But obviously then the footfall isn't as
the
good.
result.
We normally have a pretty good footfall down the street because of where it is, and we're pretty much the track to the university, so there is a bit of traffic. And when this sort of roadworks is finished, I think it will be a massive improvement. But I think it's the landlords that have got to kind of give retailers a break.
What are they doing with those rents, man?
Big commercial premises.
That is, and yeah, they are big commercial premises, and yeah, they are prime real estate, and they don't want to cut their nose off to spite their face. But I remember as a kid, we used to come, and that was bouncing. You walked down Wellington Square, every shop was busy. That was when there was it HMV at the top of there?
HMV,
we used to always call in there. I just don't understand how it's managed to get so quiet so fast.
And another thing, when one of these shops, one of the bigger shops leaves, so you've got Topshop and you've got some of the bigger shops that are moving on and closing down. When that happens and it hits social media, the thing you see every time from all of the sort of local people is Stockton's a ghost town.
Yeah.
We never go to Stockton now, it's rubbish. There's nothing going on. Why would we need to go there? I think the people need to kind of look at it as well and think, well, actually, let's go out there and support the town.
The town, yeah.
And get more people out there. When we had the car show here on Saturday, I've never seen so many people in Stockton since maybe I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was because they'd organised an event, it brought people into the town. People then, went into shops and there was footfall. And that's the kind of thing that's going on. It's all about change. You can't just
be a town centre.
No. You've got to have
a draw.
Yeah.
And it's easy to look at someone like Newcastle and say, but Newcastle's always busy. But if you look at the people that actually go into Newcastle city centre, or Durham is another great example. Actually, Durham's a better example because Durham's sort of scattered, and the transport links aren't phenomenal to get them from the villages into the city centre, but it's still busy. And alright, to uni towns it's slightly different, but they get in there and spend the day.
Yeah.
They're not coming to get their phone repaired and then going wherever. They're coming to meet friends, meet colleagues, or whatever they're doing. Spend the day, get a coffee, get something to eat. Maybe a couple of beers, mooch around. Yeah. We don't have the same vibe here. We don't have the same vibe in Billingham, definitely. I think Billingham went first. Stockton's next. It's happening. And Middlesbrough I feel like Middlesbrough's sitting pretty, and it's going to come up and bite them.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people are going to stop going to Middlesbrough as well.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I haven't been to Stockton for a long time since like this, till I came to meet you a couple of weeks ago. Last week. And I'm like, wow, why did I go anywhere else?
Yeah.
I just took a video down by the river, it's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got to move on because we're going to get in trouble. The local authority's going to hear us and come knocking. So tell me about why you jumped into doing this. You're 4 years old, you said you've been most of the time over there. Were you in Digital House from the beginning?
Yeah.
Then came here.
Yeah.
So why did you come and do this? Why did you leave a presumably steady 9 to 5 that you had before? What's the goods and bads?
Okay, so my kind of background, I was lucky in some ways that I had family that had somebody, an uncle or auntie, in all sorts of different professions.
Right, okay.
And when I was a kid, school holidays, things like that, were spent working.
Yeah.
You know, I can remember 13, 14, even younger than that, I was out with my dad. My dad was a joiner. My mum worked in Asda, Billingham for 30 years on the checkouts.
Oh, yeah.
So school holidays, things like that, I was either on a building site. I had another uncle who had a TV shop in Billingham. I was either in there learning about TVs. I had another uncle who painted cars. So I was either doing that.
Oh,
I had another uncle who was a cobbler, had a shoe shop.
Yeah.
So I kind of got bounced from all of these different places.
And I bet at the time you were like, oh man.
So in that respect, I was quite lucky that I saw all these different places and experienced all these different places, and then kind of was letterboxed into the one I was good at,
Which was TV.
So it was electronics. You know, I always used to take things apart at home, put them back together, and see how they worked, and that was just the mindset that I had.
Okay.
So I ended up in the TV shop and learning about videos at the time and Betamax and TVs with valves in, and that's you know, that was the 80s. That's what
cutting edge
got me into it.
Yeah.
Didn't do great at school. You know,
Okay.
didn't come out with a huge amount of qualifications.
What's that? Were you average? Below
I
average?
think I got a better mark in my maths exam because I didn't turn up.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I went to sort of the Bury Juniors, and I went to Birmingham campus before it was, you know, where it turned into.
Yeah.
And I went to college after that, and I did electronics, and that was because.
Did you go to B?
No, I went to Stockton Billingham in the Stockton place before it was knocked down and made into a housing estate. Yeah, so and did sort of 3 years at college doing all sorts of electronics, microcomputer electronics, and TV and video electronics, which was at the time, you know, that was the big thing. Computers were just kind of coming off there,
and you were learning as they were learning. If you like, you were growing with them.
And I found that I was more of a doer than an academic. You know, I could look at something and figure it out and fix it, but ask me to write that down on a bit of paper.
Yeah,
I wasn't great at that.
Yeah, got it.
Luckily enough, from being at college, I got a work experience with a local computer company. So I was fixing Commodore Amigas and ZX Spectrums and 64s, VIC-20s, you know, all the kind of computers that probably you weren't around at that point, but you know, everybody was playing with it at the time, and at that time that was big business, you know, the types of repairs we were doing, and that just kind of progressed into business machines, and it kind of took off into offices, and I spent 20 odd years in different IT companies, even mobile, you know, being a field engineer and travelling all over the country, or workshop based. But the problem with that kind of business is business computing was very volatile at the time. So, you know, your company would win a big contract. We had one of the companies I was with. We worked with BT. We used to do all BT's call centres. BT made a big change, and they just killed all the contracts. So we lost the contract, and the company didn't have enough other contracts to be resilient. Yeah. So all the engineers went. Right. And that was kind of how it went in the 90s. Okay. I moved, probably did 5 or 6 years with each company, and they'd lose a big contract, and you'd get kicked out, and then you'd go somewhere else.
So probably whoever won that contract, maybe.
Yeah,
Still be working on the BT account just for the next.
Yeah. So you just kind of moved about, and I got to a stage where I wanted to be more in control of my own destiny.
We got a customer.
Right. This is John Hall, but not the Sir John Hall.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
I'm the one without the money.
So yeah, I kind of bounced around for a few years doing different contracting work and working in IT. I worked in the NHS. Again, we worked in PCT, so that was doctor surgeries, health centres. We did IT for those places.
Yeah.
But the health services changed. They had to sell out all of their contracts to different companies. So the IT departments got moved, and again, you were out of a job. So the last kind of big IT company I worked for was HP.
Right.
So
is that local?
Right.
The enterprise services. So I worked up at Peterlee,
Right. Okay.
and they looked after all the servers for some big blue chip companies. And the one I was on was the BP petroleum contract. So we looked after oil rigs, computers in oil rigs, computers in finance. Basically 24/7 server monitoring, all that firmware stuff. And this was all Windows based. So my entire career has been Microsoft type.
Would you say most people are like that though, because of
I think so.
the exposure that we've had to Windows?
And we again had the same situation. BP changed the way that their IT was set up, and they farmed it all out to India because it was cheaper to pay the guys in India than it was to pay us guys. We were like 3 times as much.
Yeah.
So we went from a team of 12 down to 3 in the space of 3 weeks. Wow. We were all put on gardening leave, 3 months gardening leave. So again, you sat there thinking, I'm good at what I do, but here I am again, looking for a
in
job.
the same space.
And in that 3 months garden leave, I did look at what I've been doing over the years, and I'm just saying, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to start on my own, and it's going to be a specialist Apple, because I used to work on Windows during the day, but I used to come home to work on Apple kit.
On your own gear and whatever else.
So iSTATIon was kind of born in a bedroom in a house in Billingham.
So many stories like that in Billingham.
And it was iPad, iPhone, that type of repair. A lot of the stuff I taught myself as I was going, because it's something I'd never done before, but because that was the kind of thing that I liked doing, it just came naturally. So we spent 3 months in this bedroom in a house in Billingham. People coming to the door all hours, bringing their phones and bringing their iPads and bringing their Macs. And from a customer point of view, it's not the best scenario standing in somebody's hallway handing you £600-700 phone over for them to go and put a screen on it or fix the battery or whatever.
And what were you doing with the customer? Tell them to take a walk or take them to the kitchen for a coffee? Or?
No, they would just go away and come back either in a couple of hours or the next day, depending on what the thing was. And then I'd go upstairs to the bedroom and do this repair. And it became apparent very quickly that doing that kind of thing from home just wasn't going to cut it, and it wasn't, it didn't look professional. Although we were getting a lot of customers, there's people still out there now doing that. They start at home and with the whole Facebook generation,
great way to build
a business. To say it quickly became apparent that it just wasn't going to work there. So we looked for somewhere to move into, Digital House, which was a kind of a cocooned web business centre for young businesses to start off in. It was really low rent, all your broadband and everything was built in there. You had your own rooms, your own telephones and everything. That was the ideal place. And we moved in there 3 months after starting, and we're there sort of 2 years. And built the business up from a bedroom business for one person, to having contracts with major charities and schools and stuff like that, all Apple-based repairs. And then from Digital House, we moved here.
Here we are.
And we're in the retail environment, and we've got the retail and the B2B work going on.
So I'm going to get that at the end when we turn the camera around, but you can see in the window business, education, training, repair, and you were telling me the other week that your business to business is a big part of what you do and how you're trying to grow that. Was that always the plan from the outset? You know, when you started out as in a bedroom and handing people's devices over in your hallway, was it always actually we wanted to graduate to B2B, or did it just take you there, or did you realise on the job that, oh, hang on a minute, you know, this is where we want to go? You know, was there a strategy behind it or not?
The B2B was always the long-term goal, because I come from a B2B environment.
Yeah.
I've never been in retail, I've never worked at Currys or somewhere like that where you're repairing things for consumers. The only kind of place that I'd experience of that was back at the start when I was in my uncle's TV shop in Billingham, and there was customers bringing their TVs in, or we were going out to their homes to repair stuff. That was the consumer side. So the long-term goal for iSTATION has always been more B2B, and still is. But we, you know, our retail customers got us where we are now, and we'll continue to provide that service.
And it's mixing them up. Just he's gone now, and I wouldn't want to put him on the spot while I was here as a customer that I don't know. But it's awesome that you knew that guy's name.
Yeah, he's a regular customer.
Imagine what it's like when you walk in somewhere and the guy who owns the store knows your name. Like it's invaluable. That little bit of personal interaction.
That's one thing that we find, that we think that we're a little bit different to all of the other repair places, is we have a lot of repeat customers in terms of the retail side, and a lot of recommendations from our repeat customers. So that particular guy's probably been in 4 or 5 times for repairs for different devices. Yeah. But if we posted something on social media and he saw it, he would recommend that and share it and do all of that. If one of his friends in the pub said, you know, I've got my phone, and he'd just say, you go there, don't go anywhere else, just go there. And we've got a good core of customers like that, that will, you know, promote you and do that, and they're the people that have helped us grow to where we are.
It's mad. I run a business helping insurance brokers use social media instead of the traditional things that they've been doing for business development, and it always sounds like I'm saying that social media is the answer, and I've tried to get this across with blogs and videos and things, and what I'm actually saying is, if you can't generate that kind of word of mouth that you've just referred to, then you need to go to social media, because the entry level it's cheaper, it's free most of the time. You can generate the same thing from there if you're persistent and patient enough. But actually, that kind of thing is what builds businesses. Proper, real good referrals. Some guy says, don't trust anyone else, go there. We mentioned someone who works in a law firm over the road, who's one of your first customers maybe. You know, and this is it. It's here all the time. Whenever she's got a device issue, she comes straight here. It's important, and I'm sure she would recommend you to everyone she encounters with the same kind of thing.
We're probably not the cheapest place to have your device repaired, and the reasons behind that is, you know, we put a lot of effort into how we look, how we present ourselves, the experience the customer gets when they bring it.
All this, which the camera can't see, but all this certification and stuff like that.
And all those things in the background, we've put a lot of effort into making right. You know, we're not a little backstreet place that will charge you 20 quid to repair your phone, and if it breaks tomorrow when you come back, we're not going to do anything for you. You know, if we fix something and it goes wrong and it's a problem with our part, there is absolutely no question we fix it again. We don't charge that customer.
It's not universal, but I always say buy cheap, buy twice.
Yeah, absolutely. So say we're not the cheapest place, but we try to give them a different experience. You know, all of our customers can log into our repair system at any time and see where their device is and what stage it's up to and what it's going to cost. So it's all about the experience, really.
For sure.
As you say about the social media, social media is not always the answer. You know, if somebody goes on social media and says, "Where can I get my iPhone repaired?" you'll have 100 people who will say, "Go here, go there, go there, go here." And then who do they pick? You know, it's all about reviews and what your regular customers constantly write about you and say, you know, it's 5 stars again, we've been here again and again, and we're still.
But they might not check all of them out. You might be 10th on the list, they might check out the first 8.
That's right.
And you don't get spotted, so that visibility is important, and that's kind of the reason, or part of the reason behind the retail presence as well, presumably, so that people.
And unfortunately, sometimes, you know, a customer will pick somewhere else, but they'll end up back here for one reason or another because they've gone somewhere else and haven't got the right thing done. They'll come back here and we'll say, well, you know, we can sort that out. It might cost you more, but if you'd have come here the first time,
Yeah.
you know, like saying, buy cheap, buy twice.
Yeah, and it doesn't always apply, but I think with a lot of things it probably does.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's important. So you've come on the journey. You're 4 years into the entrepreneurial journey, if you like. And I don't want to always be kind of getting on people who are doing it with maybe not great grades, because you've actually gone and got the qualifications.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't do great GCSE level, and you admit that you're not academic, but actually you can still go and get these kinds of qualifications in order to be good at what you're doing, and that's very important. In fact, you couldn't run a kind of premium level business like this without those. Because I could start one of these tomorrow next door.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm really not going to. But I could, and be the unqualified version.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they get to pick, and I can't pretend to be qualified. You just can't do it. So somewhere along the line you've got to get those qualifications. But in terms of coming and doing this as an alternative, how big a risk was it? I don't want to know about you know, your personal kind of financial situation when you open the business or anything like that, but how big is it for you to have done this rather than going back to that 9 to 5, even if it is a bit kind of bouncy? You know, what was the balance at the time?
The balance at the time was, I'd been in a very comfortable paid contracting job. You know, the wages were good, the hours were easy. We worked a lot of time from home, so you know, most of the work I did sometimes was in my dressing gown.
Yeah, no, that
you know, there was a James Bond film not many years ago, and the new M or Q came along, and he said, you know, I can take down so many governments in 30 seconds while I'm drinking my Earl Grey in my dressing gown, and you can do with a gun and a machete or whatever. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not easy. You know, it's not a shiny shop front and the customer comes in. There's a lot of other things going in the background, and you know, you've got your accounts and your insurances and your staff pay and your equipment,
pension,
you know,
rent, all that.
You know, there's a lot goes on when you're your own boss, especially if you start employing people. You know, that brings it to a whole other level of things you've got to look at, insurances, and you know all that kind of stuff. Effectively, I pretty much started with nothing, because you know, I've got a small amount of redundancy money which kept the bills paid, and you know, a car going and that kind of stuff. And it was literally, you know, you did one repair and that money went straight back in to buy a part for the next repair, and that went straight back in to buy more. You know, and it's just a gradual escalation, very gradual. And you have got to, even today, you know, you've got to kind of take a risk, you know, otherwise you're going to end up like one of those businesses that has had to close down, whether they're a big chain or a small one. You know, sometimes there isn't any money in the bank, sometimes there's a lot of money in the bank, but it swings around about, you know. It's
real.
It's real.
This is really, and it's nice to speak to you, because you're not early stage, but you are to an extent. You're still a relatively small business, retail shop front, that kind of thing, going through the journey and navigating cost of rent at different locations and which town you want to be in, all that kind of thing. And it's just a great example. I speak to a lot of young people who either already want to start their own businesses or listen to me talk, and then they're like, right, now I want to start a business. And I'm always saying, it's harder than you think it is.
Absolutely.
You work way more hours. Give me one number, how many hours roughly do you reckon you work a week?
I don't know, 60, 70 hours a week. You know, every day you might, you know, we might close up here at 5:30, 6 o'clock and go home and have something to eat, but normally you'll spend another couple of hours most nights on some form of thing for the business.
Social media, bookkeeping.
Yeah. There's always something.
Negotiating with, suppliers, different time zones, all that kind of thing. So that, and just like you've said, gradual, everything takes longer than you think.
Yeah.
And if you understand that as a principle and use the fact that everything takes longer than you think as a strategy, you can actually build a business on the back of that. Yeah. If you're 15 and you want to start a business and you're prepared to do other stuff to make money, and you don't need money for a few years, and you've got the support of your parents or your guardians or whatever, it's feasible. I'm not saying everyone should go and do it, but it's feasible. Yeah? You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Did you take any investment?
No.
How valuable do you think that is in keeping?
I think it taught us a lesson about, you know, we wanted to keep the business our own. Didn't want to have to be paying other people to borrow money.
Yeah, interest payment at the end of every month or the end of the year.
I mean, you know, some of these businesses out there at the moment, when you hear of Toys R Us and whatever go down and they say they've got a £50 billion bank debt, you know, that's a huge amount of money. For a business like us, you know, we got an overdraft.
It's different.
We borrow money.
Yeah.
It's not to the same extent, but borrowing any type of money like that, you know, it still keeps you awake at night because you, at the end of the day, you know, if anything goes wrong, it's down to me.
It's on you.
It's down to me. So I've got to worry about that and lose sleep over that.
Yeah.
And then look happy when the customer walks in and keep the experience going. It's not easy, you know, it's 4 years down the line, you think 4 years is a really long time, but it's gone really fast.
Yeah, well done.
And I look forward to the next 4 and growing the business even more. There are a lot of challenges. You know, it's great, you get a lot of reward out of it, you know, like customers come in and they're really happy to get the device back, or you go out and you've been to a B2B site and they've had a complete network failure and you've got 80 people sat there twiddling their thumbs, can't do anything, and you're in there now and you fix it and it's all back up and you walk out there, you feel like
hero,
you're the best
everyone
in the world.
Clapped,
they're the rewarding parts.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are a lot of non-rewarding parts.
For sure. And actually, maybe I used to work with this guy. Hopefully, he's watched one of these. He's an IT guy called Neil Mackay. And we worked together twice in 2 different companies. It was kind of a bit of a mistake. And technically, I followed him around. Yeah. But I didn't. I just came second in all these businesses. I remember one of the branches rang him and said, like, we've had this major problem. I think it was something to do with the broadband line. I'd been at a meeting, and then I'd come to the office he was at for my next meeting. And I'd seen his car, so I went looking for him. Found him in the server room, and I'm like, how long have you been here? 3-4 hours. He's sweating buckets, you know. He's messing about with wires, who knows. And I said, has anyone made you a cup of tea yet, mate? He said, no one. And I thought, as if? Like, maybe he was less looked after because he was a staff member. Maybe you get better looked after coming in as an external company, or maybe not. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna put you on the spot there. But like, he saved the day, and everyone thought that was fantastic. But when he turned up, it should have been like, yeah, I know you've got to get to work, but do you need a coffee? Do you need a glass of water? And I thought, sometimes it can be a bit thankless. Running a business or doing anything can be a bit thankless. Yeah. The message I'm trying to get there is this is particularly for the kids watching. It's possible to open a business.
It is.
But I don't think there's anything wrong. In fact, I think it might be the best route to go and get a job or series of jobs, even if it's very quickly and you open a business by 20 or 18. Maybe 18's a bit young, especially now they're going to stay in school till they're 18. But do that first, taste it, and have that to fall back on so you can open a business. Don't borrow money like you haven't borrowed money. You could close this tomorrow. If you decided, right, I've had enough of this, it's too hard, I want to go back to work, you could close this tomorrow. You don't owe 4 million to a bank or a venture capital firm that you have to pay back regardless. You can just go, that's it, doors closed, signs down, I'm going back to a 9 to 5. Yeah, and then you can come back into entrepreneurship later. I think people that jump straight
there are
in.
some days that you go home and you do feel like
Tell me about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you think, wow, I remember that 9 to 5. I used to have a 2-hour lunch
How
break.
did I get here? Why am I doing this? Why haven't I had a holiday in like 2 years?
Yeah.
Why are we working 6 days a week and, you know?
Yeah, I know that feeling, but actually, and it applies to me, and if it applies to you, I don't know exactly where you ended up in these companies you were working at when you finished, but I feel like I got to that top too early. There was nowhere else for me to go. I could have bounced jobs, doing the same kind of role, running the department or division. The scale of that division might have been bigger. I could have got more salary, could have got more travel, but actually I'd be doing the same job.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do the same job from 25 to 80. I've got to be challenged. And I think maybe you've probably got to be challenged as well. You don't want to coast. You'd rather be doing this and struggling a bit and making it work and enjoying it than coasting in the job that you were
absolutely
doing. Yeah. And I quite like that.
There's always new challenges, you know. We don't generally see the same thing every day. There's always something harder to fix, and
That's it.
it's been somewhere else and they couldn't fix it, and you've ended up with somebody else's job. You know, it's different every day.
That's cool. Can't argue with that at all. What are we up to? We're up to 34, so I think we're going to go for the last two questions now.
All right.
And that's so when I edit this down, it doesn't take me as long. We do these lists with the groups of kids we talk to. 3 things, 3 lists they have to write. What job are you interested in? Doesn't really matter. What do you want out of life? And what do you enjoy doing out of school? And the reason we ask them that is so they can try and tie the 3 together, so that they can make a career choice based on all 3 rather than doing something they hate, so they can do the thing they love, if you know what I'm saying. The middle one's what I'm interested in right now. What is it that you want out of life right now? So when I give suggestions to the groups, I say, do you want a Ferrari? You know, do you want a pool in your back garden? Do you want a helicopter? Like, name all that stuff. What is it that you're after right now? What's that thing you're in pursuit of right now?
I think I've kind of had a lot of the things that I wanted. You know, they wanted a car, a specific car and a specific house and things like that. But I think at the kind of age that I'm getting to now, I want to be able to have the business at a point where I can step back from it a little bit and have more time with family, more time with, we get married next year, so more time with future wife. A holiday, you know, that would be great. So what we're trying to do at the moment is build the business enough so as we can have some people in here. You know, we've got people, experienced people coming in at the moment that we're going to be able to, you know, give them things to do and get them up ladders so we can step back and just have a bit more family quality time. You know, I'm not getting on at 48, but I never thought at 48 that I'd be working 6 days a week, getting 1 day off and not having a holiday. So the goal for us at the moment is to bring more people into the business and build it a bit bigger and get some more family time back in.
That's excellent. I was going to say last question, but you've just touched on work experience then. I just want to ask, in a sentence, no longer than 1 sentence, what is the value of work experience for any young person, 13 to 25, like the one you've got coming in at the moment you were telling me about? 1 sentence, what's the value to them for the rest of their lives for starting with a work experience, working for free in a business like this?
You'll learn what it's like to be in the real world without the sugarcoating, you know. Somebody will give you the benefit of their experience of being in that real world and hope it, you know, sticks.
I said yesterday, I think to an extent, work experience / apprentice is the value exchange. If it was based on value exchange, the apprentice should be paying the business.
That's right.
Yeah.
And when we take anybody on for work experience, you know, it does cost us money in the background for insurance and cost for training, all them kind of things. And you're doing that because you want to be able to vent your knowledge to somebody else and give them a chance to get what, you know, when I was a kid, like I say, I went through all of these different businesses and somebody gave me the benefit of their knowledge and their time. Maybe if I hadn't had that, I might have ended up in a completely different position.
You might have been the cobbler instead.
Yeah,
absolutely. That might be it.
But even cobblers are repairing phones now, so...
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Everyone repairs phones now. Yeah, I need mine repairing, so you can do that one. I won't take it to the cobbler. Last one, straight down the lens, if you don't mind. Just tell any 13 to 25-year-old job seeker / career seeker your message, what they should be doing now in order to get themselves on the first level or the second level and progress to create their own career.
I would say follow your heart. If you've got a passion or something, follow it. Go and find somebody who can help you follow it. Get some experience, unpaid experience, and just keep going. Don't give up.
Excellent. I appreciate it, man. That was awesome. I'm just going to quickly make sure that we get all of that is backwards. Because why wouldn't it be? Because the people outside need to see that. But look, business, education, training, repair, there's all those qualifications. Can I show them? Good, because I've done it. And iSTATIon, don't forget. There we go.